Okay, thanks for having us. As Michael said, we're all dipping our toe in the water tonight because as motorcyclists, we suffer a similar sort of stigma to what you guys on pedal cycles do, to a greater or lesser degree, where there's speeding hooligans with the throwback to Easy Rider and everything that comes on the telly, they play Get Your Motor Running, every piece of footage they have, we're all tarred with the same brush. We all have similar problems on the road, or transferable problems, as Michael said. We do have a lot of transferable problems on the road. Basic one being we don't get seen very often. We get a bag press when we're involved in a collision because we are usually seen as the guilty party, because we either were going too fast, or we weren't in the right place, or we couldn't be seen because we put ourselves in the wrong place and we were wearing the wrong clothing. So there's various things that we can cover tonight that will hopefully give you an understanding of what the other people's problems are as well, because they have problems and we have problems as humans, and that's why we don't see each other. And therefore maybe a little bit more understanding we're on the road. There will be some facts and figures that you may or may not be aware of as to just what your risks are and your likelihood of being involved in collisions. So going to why they don't see us as well. And a little bit of refresher on the new highway code that everyone's getting their pants in a twist about, which actually hasn't changed very much, apart from we're all trying to be a little bit fairer to each other. That's what it's trying to say to the idiots on the road. Let's share the road a bit more nicely. So at least then, if we go through it, you'll know what the actual rules are because we've told you. And then if someone says, no, that's not right, mate, you can, because they will, you can say, well, actually, no, we're right, because that's, you know, and take it in the spirit that it's intended. Some of the stuff you may know, some of the stuff you may not. And Gordon will obviously cover something, because Gordon also is a trainer, an outrider for the National Escort Group. So if you do go racing, he's one of the guys that goes out and keeps it rolling, keeps it safe, and keeps the idiots away from you while you're racing. So did I say idiots out loud then? I meant some of the other road users out there. Members of the public that I dealt with for a few years, literally. So that was me in a former life. I still love that photo. You can tell it was a good ride because the visor's misting up a little bit there. That means I'm breathing quite heavy. And not as heavy as you guys do, but a little bit heavy. So where we come from, again, this was because I didn't know Michael was going to give us such a good introduction in the first place. So I spent 30 years with West Mids. I'm now retired. Okay, so thank you very much for all the kit you gave me over the years and stuff. My career was mainly in traffic, so I dealt with the end result of what happens when people get wiped up. Myself and Gordon both do bike safe. One of the things that we cover there, and a real basic rule of thumb that bikers don't get, powered two-wheelers don't get, and maybe some cyclists don't get as well, is one of the first things we try and cover is to say, right, if you're driving down the main road and the guy is waiting to pull out in the side road, who's got right of way? Anyone want to offer an idea as to who's got right of way? You do on the main road, yeah. Okay, so then we go into the basic maths of things. So you and your bike might weigh 150 kilos maybe, max. What does a car weigh? Who's got right of way? Yeah, and they all laugh like everyone does in the room, but trust me, if that guy pulls out, you're giving way, right? Now, there's reasons why he might not see you, and he'll bitterly regret pulling out and wiping you out and breaking your leg and doing whatever he does. But in 5 years' time, when he's forgotten about the ramifications of it and the fact he stopped having to declare it on his insurance certificate now, 5 years' time, you'll cease to exist, but you'll remember him for the rest of your life when you limp, etc. Yeah? So that's the basic sort of rule we're saying. Don't back off and make yourself a victim too much, but do have in mind that we've got a duty of care, and that if he pulls out, we absolutely will have to give way. It's much, much nicer to be able to stop up, pull up short, having predicted he's going to do that, and when he does stop and go, oh, sorry, you then give him an appropriate arm signal. We'll refresh you as to ones in the highway code later, and the correct ones, and then you go on your way, but at least you go on your way, yeah? And realising why these people haven't seen you. So bearing in mind that they're not going out in the morning to bag a cyclist, yeah, and lose their licence and potentially go to prison for a few years. They've gone out there and they've made a human mistake. And as you'll see from some of the stuff we've got here, they're failings in the human condition, not his attitude. They're failings that we have with our eyesight, the way our brains work, etc., which is why the best one in the world, they'll look at you and they won't see you. They literally don't. Even when I'm on an expensive motorbike, a big, expensive, big motorbike, even on the police bikes, you know, not only was a massive, I mean, how can you miss that? Seriously, particularly when it's lit up with all its lights and sirens going, and the potential to nick you if you get it wrong, if you upset me, and they'll still pull out in front of you and go, mate, I'm so sorry I didn't see you. You go, how? How does it happen? It can genuinely happen. They can't hear you, they can't locate you, and for various reasons that we'll come across in a bit, they can't see you with the best one in the world. All right? I actually had the benefit of being on the driving school, so I was teaching people about this in the police force, and my only job for 10 years was going out, setting up, picking the best roads to train the cops on, to train them. Bike safe facilities, same as Gordon is, so we do, for members of the public, we do what we're doing now, but in greater depth for motorcyclists, countrywide. Examiner for IAM and RoSPA. And also hold HGV and PCV licence, so I understand the problems that they have in not seeing people, and they are massive problems. And to which end, I don't know if you've got the facility to do this amongst yourselves, but for our advanced bike club, what we do was we got an Arctic, and because the company was very receptive to road safety, and we sat each person in the cab, and then we tried to see how many people we could hide around the Arctic, standing around it, and then we said, right, can you see? Well, they went, no, right, everybody move out. We got 40 people hidden around this Arctic. And as it came out, the guy sat in the cab was going, I don't believe that. This is the problem that the lorry driver has when he so-called cuts me up. You put yourself in a position. And when you actually sat there going, wow, you can have people like under your nose and they can't see it. It's staggering. So that does help with anybody. What Gordon doesn't know, I was the cyclocross world champion 1998. I'm also a compulsive liar. Right? Right, sorry. No, sorry. Just going back to a serious issue, right? Those are genuine credentials of ours, right? Okay, so, just sort of break the ice. So, statistics. I hate using statistics because you can say all sorts. You can make them say what you like, can't you? You know, but there are statistics that the governments they do reviews every now and then of periods of road safety, who has the accidents, causation factors, etc., which we're interested in. But like I say, you can make them go you like it. One of my favourite ones is when they say that a third of all drivers involved in collisions are over the drink drive limit. Yeah. In fatal collisions, about a third are over the drink drive limit. So that means it's safer to drive when you're drunk because 2/3 of them are stone cold sober. No, that's not right, is it? Yeah. Okay, so statistically, how many bikers die each year? Cyclists, about 100 each year. Across the country, about 100 die. That's 6% of all road deaths in total. We can beat you on the bikes. We make up about 20 to 25% on motorbikes, but you make up about 6% of them. And that's from the Break UK charity. Right, so that's quite a current one, yeah. So that's quite a few of, there's a couple every week, isn't it? They're dying on pedal cycles. And these are avoidable. I can't remember the last time I went to a road collision with a biker, well, with most people to be fair, where I went, that was completely unavoidable. That doesn't happen. In fact, the last time I think that happened was on the M1 in Leicestershire, when that plane came down across the motorway. And the one that came down at the air show down south, all they saw was a shadow and went, what? That's not going to change, is it, yeah? Virtually everything else, somebody, all parties in it, had some form of contributory negligence to a greater or lesser degree. Not saying they're going to admit it to their insurance companies, right, because they wouldn't thank you for it. And certainly the Bobby would thank you, make his job easier. But what they're saying is you need to go away and review, if there was a near miss or a collision, why that happened. So if you bury your head in the sand, I think as Einstein said, only a fool does the same thing again and again and again and expects a different result, right? So if you keep approaching it the same way and don't sit back and go, is there something else I could have done? Which is what Michael's saying when we get together with this sort of thing, is say, let's have a think about it. Is there something we could do or some better understanding we can have of other people that will make us understand why they don't see us, and then we can help ourselves to be seen by them, or put ourselves in a position where they can't mess our day up. Because we only went out to have a good time, all of us at the end of the day, didn't we? And our two communities, if you like, powered two-wheelers and non-powered two-wheelers, are just getting written off like, you know, there's about 600 bikers, powered bikers, die a year, every year in this country. Put that in perspective, that is the biggest passenger carrying plane that's currently in operation in this country, crashing every year and killing everybody on board. You wouldn't fly on that plane, would you? If that was, you know, that was for real, because it's drip fed, it's not a problem. But 100 of your people are dying each year. Right. So, looking at the number of reported pedal casualty cyclists by severity, and they take this over 1 billion miles. That's not really a lot of miles when you consider the amount of cyclists in the country, the amount of miles they're doing. You probably can't read that from the back here, but it goes from, I thought it'd be bigger than this on the screen, 2004 to 2022, the statistics. 2004, 134 bikes were killed, pedal cyclists were killed, going down to 148, 146, 136, down to 2022, where 91 were killed. Now I've worked that out, and that actually works out to 115 a year as opposed to, but they average it out across the, well, that was averaged out to be fair. But if you look at the serious collisions, they're in the 3,000 plus all the way, 4,000 plus most of the time of pedal cyclists getting wiped out, avoidably wiped out. A KSI is a killed or seriously injured collision. Right? It's a statistical thing, and they put the reasons down. So it is a little bit subjective in some respects, because some of it is put down to the officer's decision at the scene as to what the causation factors were in the collision from his evidence. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. And also, some of them, sometimes, as big organisations do, they change what they're measuring against and what's measurable and what's not. So you have to be a little bit careful. But between 2004 and 22, the fatalities dropped by 32% from 134 to 91, which is pretty good. In the same period, serious injuries increased by 21%. So you go, okay, well it's good that they didn't die, but in actual fact, serious injuries cost us as taxpayers more, because we have to look after the seriously injured for the rest of their lives. And it costs them more to operate, because everything has to be altered, doesn't it? So it's actually costing us more to have seriously injured people than dead ones. And the cycle traffic increased by 50%, which is great. It should continue to improve, so long as they look after us in terms of where we can cycle. I've just been talking to guys today about getting a trainer for my garage, because having dealt with these things over the years, I'm not that keen on cycling on the roads. You're going to tell me different, you know. But every time we run a motorcycle course, we say exactly the same thing. People go, oh yeah, well, you know, my parents don't like me having a motorcycle, you know, because lots of people allegedly get wiped out on them. Another thing, you know, we say to the bikers, I don't know anybody who, when they said to their parents, oh, you know what, we're thinking of buying you, when he says, I'm thinking of buying a bike, there's no parent I know who's gone, well, it's your lucky day, son, because the day you were born, we started a trust fund for exactly this eventuality. There's your 20 grand. Doesn't happen, does it? But they don't see pedal cycles as much of a risk, but they are. As we've seen, they are getting killed in quite big numbers. But we don't have to be, and we need to understand why that's happening. Then they analyse it down to time of day collisions. So it doesn't take a brain surgeon to work that one out. That weekday collisions, killed and seriously injured, occur between 7 and 10. Let me guess why that is in. Well, the sensible people are cycling to work. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, it goes from 10 till 12 noon. Okay, well that's no great surprise either, is it? Because we all know we can get into a cafe after 12 o'clock because all the cyclists have gone home then, haven't they? Yeah? And we all use the same place as well, don't we? We go out to places like Shobden or the village shop in Feckenham that Michael's been to, you know. So we're all a similar sort of bunch, the same mentality with the same risks, and we feel each other's pain. So the last government survey was conducted 2018 to 2022. So the last point on this is I think is the most interesting one. Well, an average of 2 pedal cyclists died, and that hasn't changed much, and 81 were seriously injured per week, as reported across the country. Majority of pedal cycle fatalities, 58%, don't occur within 20 metres of a junction. And when they say it's adjusted, that's because of the different ways that they measure how the casualties occurred. Almost half were in two vehicle collisions between a pedal cycle and a car. They interacted badly with another road user. Both of them didn't realise enough what was going on, and they came together. Yeah. And if you come into collision with another motorist, you're part of the problem. Okay, whichever way you want to look at it, you're part of the problem. And 56% of pedal cycle fatalities occurred on rural roads compared to 30% of traffic. That's probably because you're going to get hit by a faster vehicle, you know, and so the impact's going to be high, impact speed will be higher. You stand less chance of surviving. My mate got caught by one. He was doing his second charity cycle ride from Land's End to John O'Groats for breast cancer, and he was going up a dual carriageway into the sun, and the car coming up behind him saw him at the last minute, swerved out of the way. The guy behind saw the car swerve out of the way, was blinded by the sun, she swerved out of the way at the last minute, and as she swerved out of the way, she clipped the right-hand handlebar of the bike. Well, if anyone knows how machines, bikes, two-wheeled vehicles operate, if you turn the bars to the right, which way are you going to fall? You're going to fall right, yeah? So if your bars get knocked to the left, your hand gets punched forward, you're going to fall left, and that put him in the path of the car that was following the car that hit his handlebar. So the actual first car didn't kill him, the second one did. So she just knocked his hand out of the way. So it's no surprise, they were on a dual carriageway, he got clipped fast, it all happened in a second, no one could react, or he couldn't react fast enough, car behind didn't get a chance to see him, you know, and wiped him out. 82% of pedal cycle killed or seriously injured KSIs were male. Sorry fellas, we're more of a risk than the ladies are, yeah? I don't know what the breakdown is between male and female riders, but they're still more at risk on a bike as well, you know? You think about it though, chaps, you know, we are more at risk testosterone wise, you know? When was the last time a lady raced you off the lights? When was the last time a lady sat behind you on the motorway flashing the lights saying, get out the Audi lane? Yeah, it was the BMW lane, it's the Audi lane now, isn't it? Yeah. That's the most important one though. Most contributory factor was that the driver or rider failed to look properly. It was also the most common factor allocated to other vehicles. So virtually everyone didn't look properly. The biker or the cyclist didn't look properly, or the car driver didn't look properly. Right, so factors allocated to vehicles involved. Driver or rider failed to look properly. 2,722 cyclists failed to look properly and got taken out in that period between 18 and 22. 243 pedal cyclists were impaired by alcohol. Wow. I guess that must be people going home from the pub at night. Yeah, those are the two that stood out for me. So, fatalities between 2018 and 22. 56% are on rural roads, like we said, and 30% were on urban roads, is how it basically broke down. So, positioning. Anyone know what the highway coach is about, positioning, how you can make yourself better seen? Because the car driver's getting really uppity about this one, and we're going, nothing's changed, mate.
Isn't it primary position? So you should be riding towards the centre of
the
lane.
Yeah, exactly that.
Can I have that on in writing or camera? Because my husband and I argue about this all
right.
the time.
two basic positions, they say, and this is taken straight from the highway code. Yeah. All right. On quiet roads and streets, ride in the centre of the lane, make yourself as clearly visible as possible. That's what we tell bikers to do. Why wouldn't we tell you to do the same thing? Yeah? You're in the same position, you're as vulnerable. Why is everyone getting upset about it? They used to say, well, cyclists don't have to use cycle lanes now. They never did. You know, like when people say, oh, if you go to a zebra crossing now, you should, there's a difference between must and should. You should give way if someone is now waiting to cross. And before, as now, you must, when the person puts their foot in the crossing, you must give way. But up to that point, you should give way. They've had to write it down now. Didn't we always do that before? If someone was waiting at a crossing, did you ever drive up and go, nah, not coming because you haven't put your foot in the crossing yet, mate? So you state your claim, you're not going. No one's done that, have they? Right? But Well, what they've done with the highway code now, which is what this is about, and there's more of this, you can tell your husband a bit. You can really ram the point over your own, right? All they've done now is they've written it down clearly, and the reason they've written it down clearly is, firstly, for the idiots, and there's a lot of them out there in cars. There are a heck of a lot of them, yeah, who can't judge much, yeah. When you last went to a supermarket, anyone bang into your ankles with a trolley? Sorry, mate, I misjudged it. They drove there. Car park's full, right? So we've got to be careful with these people. So, yeah, it's put there to say to people, let's be nice to each other. And also, if it's a must-know, if it's a must-do, then it's something that you can get points from in the highway code. If it says you must do this, you must do that, it is something that is related to a section of the law, and you will get points. Familiar faces just walked in the back here. You will get points for it. If it's a should, then it's one that can be used in evidence. If you have a collision, it can be used to reinforce any claim against you or back up a due care, where it says, well, the highway code says you should really do that. You weren't. Why weren't you? Okay? So, riding the centre of your lane is the first thing. Make yourself as clearly visible in the following situations. So, on quiet roads and streets, but what it also says is, if a faster vehicle comes up behind you, move over to the left, let them over the take, if you can do so safely. It's not saying dive out of the way. It's not saying you've got to move. It says, if you can safely move out of the way, move out of the way. And everyone's going, well, that's obvious, isn't it? Yeah, it's also obvious not to ride into the side of cars, but people do, right? So they're putting it down to make it really clear to say, look, come on, let's be nice to each other. Just move out of the way if you can, a little bit out of the way. In slower moving traffic, very similar again. When traffic around you starts to move more freely, move over to the left, if you can do so safely, so that faster moving vehicles can get by. Have some consideration for other people, yeah? But that works both ways. That works with the car driver as well. Not to bully you, not to sit on your tail. You'll do your best when you can, when you see it safe. You might have seen something that he hasn't. You might see something on a pedal cycle that's more of a problem to you than a car driver. It might be a loose manhole cover. It might be a poor road surface. Yeah, it might be a severe camber, it might be some gravel in the road that he can't see and he's not concerned about, because all that happens when that happens to him is some light flashes on his dashboard and he goes, oh, TC, what's that mean? I'll go and look that up when I get home. Yeah, that puts you on your face. So you've got to, you need to know, well, you would know that you move out of the way, but not to compromise your own safety. None of this says compromise your own safety, right? If it's safe, just be nice, people, is what it's saying, yeah? And then it also says, at the approach to junctions or road narrowings where it will be unsafe for drivers to overtake you, move into the centre, defend your position, right? Because these idiots, like the ones I said that are in the supermarket that can't judge a gap, if you move over and invite trouble, they'll go, oh, well, they've left the gap, they're okay for me to come through. Oh, that was a bit tight, clink. What was that noise? Oh, that was his handlebars or her handlebars, yeah? Don't give them the space. Don't be intimidated by cars trying to bully you out of the way. Obviously have an option, if they're an idiot, an option somewhere to go. But don't invite danger your way. Command your position on the road and then move out of the way when it's sensible to do so, yeah? And reasonable to do so. Number 2, again, you can ride in the centre lane, yeah? Making yourself as clear as visible as possible, right? When riding on busy roads with traffic moving faster than you, allow them to overtake where it's safe, so doing at least, so they're talking about you now, so how far do they recommend that you stay from the curb? Oh, I'm just a cyclist. Hey, who'd have thought we were going to ask questions on the highway code today, eh? That's not fair, is it? Wish you hadn't sat in the front there. How far does the highway code advise that you ride away from the curb for your own safety? Minimum. Pardon? No. That's confused with what they're supposed to give you, isn't it? They advise that you give yourself half a metre from the curb, if possible. Yeah? Or further if you can do to keep yourself safe. But a minimum of half a metre. The reason is they don't want you clipping the curb. They don't want you falling off. They want you to be in a position where you're safe. You are perfectly entitled to stay in a safe place on the road as long as you move out of the way if you're winding people up. Or you could be winding people up where you could, it's like lane 2 hogging on the motorway, isn't it? You got upset people going, what? Yeah, if there's loads of traffic, I ain't got a problem with people sitting on lane 2. But if they're sat there's no one else on the motorway, what are you doing there? You know? So it's when that morality meter kicks off in your head, go, you know what? I lost concentration, or, you know, just move out of the way, give them an apology and just let them go. Doesn't matter if you apologise, you're never going to meet them again, are you? Yeah? Often we get asked the question, so if there's somebody in lane 2 and they're lane hogging lane 2, can I overtake them up the inside? Because it says you can on motorways. And I normally say, well, do you think that's a good idea, really? You've identified an idiot. Do you want to do something unexpected for an idiot? Really? Do what's most expected. Go around the outside of him. I don't want to sneak up, whether I'm allowed to or not, I don't want to go up his inside, because he's an idiot. He's probably going to do that, isn't he, to go past, yeah? 0.5 metres is what they advise you to be, but do stay visible and as central in your lane as you can, so long as you're not upsetting other people. That's what the highway code says, yeah? Now then, why don't people see us? Any ideas why they don't see you? Has anyone heard of any of this stuff before? So why they don't see you?
They're not looking for you. They're looking
Why they're not looking for you? You're right. Why not?
Because if they hit a cyclist, it doesn't really matter. If they hit another car, it does matter.
Just to me, it costs me a fortune to repair paperwork. I mean, I don't like injuring people. You're not normally there, are you? You aren't normally there. So what they're not looking for, they're less likely to see. But you're not normally there. You're not a massive percentage of road users. On motorcycles, we're only 1%. Granted, there's more cyclists probably out there, but we're only 1% of road users. They're not looking for us. They're looking for trucks and lorries and buses and things that can hurt them. Yeah? And because they've got side impact bars and crumple zones, so they can collect a cyclist quite nicely, you know, and they've got seat belts that pull them back. They've got airbags and air curtains. They feel quite safe, don't they? What they don't realise is if a biker hits them from the side, that bike will intrude, and I've been to them, it'll intrude into the car, the cockpit space, and it'll kill them. And it does kill them. If they get hit by a bike sideways on, it'll kill them. Yeah? But they don't feel they should. There's a thought that says that maybe they should take all the safety innovations out of cars and put a spike on the steering wheel. That'd slow them down a bit, wouldn't it? Yeah? Focus someone's mind. So why don't people see you then? Right. Well, you lot are pretty good at seeing things and taking your surroundings, aren't you? Let's just play your video first, and I'll ask you some questions about it later.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away.
That's right, madam.
It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you?
Action.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
Why, I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
And that's a government, a Department for Transport video, which for a government department is a stroke of genius, isn't it? Yeah. And it's highlighting exactly what we just said then, is that because you're not normally there, they need to be looking a bit more carefully about the surroundings and trying to pick up with it. But it's very easy to pick up detail, even when you just miss detail, even when you're sat here just watching a video. Right? So, on a road that's familiar to you, you're also more likely to react more slowly than you would on a road that is unfamiliar to you. Does that make sense? So you come around a corner, you're expecting a certain view, so you come rattling around the corner, but something's happened there today, and it's not what you expected. So now you've got to unlearn what you thought was going to happen and relearn what's happening today, and your reaction time will be significantly slower. That might be the difference between you hitting something not. So we've all got to try and ride at speed where we can always react to realistically what we can see on that day rather than what we're expecting to see that day. So just to ram that point home, what I want you to do now is say to yourself in your head, to show how easily confused you can be, the colour that the word is written in, not the word itself. Okay? Is that quite easy? So you're saying the colour of the word is written in, not the word itself. Okay. Try it again. That's a lot more difficult, isn't it? Yeah? Because that's not what you expect to go with that word. So your brain goes, whoa, hang on a minute, that's not, I don't like that. So you look at the two side by side, the left one's much, much easier to read than the right one. Yeah, there's not what we do with maths where we just change we do a series of maths and then we say, right, okay, so now minus means plus and divide means multiply and do the same sums again, your brain's going, what? And they're really simple sums where it's like 6 times 2 and all that sort of stuff, and they can't work it out. So you can be very easily confused and more confused if you're going too fast on unfamiliar roads where you think you know what's going to happen, but it doesn't. So ride for the moment is what they say. Right, has anyone heard of a thing called the looming effect? Have you heard that term before? So this is an old advert, we'll explain it more in a second after the advert's played.
How close does a biker have to be before you see them? Here, here, or here. At a junction, look, then look again. Think, take longer to look for bikes.
That includes pedal cycles. So, what it's saying is that when someone looks out of a... Has anyone ever had a car driver look at them and then pull out in front of them? Yeah. And you go, seriously? Yeah. Really? I've got my yellow jacket and you're looking at me, right? Okay, how can you... People say, oh, yeah. So when a car driver turns his head towards you, that means he's seen you. That means his neck works. That's all it means, right? His eyesight might not be able to, for starters, but the looming effect is a problem, right? Number one, we're not normally there. Number two, if you look out of a junction, you look down a road, your eye will see, our eyes see what is effectively a static picture, a painting, if you like, right? With a load of static objects of different sizes. That object doesn't change size to make you want the driver to be aware of your presence, okay? So that he doesn't play in front of you. But by the time he recognises your presence, merely by your physical size getting larger and larger and larger, it's way too late. Yeah? So we need to try and attract his attention nice and early. So, Izzy, I'll come towards you, right? So, I won't throw it. When I come towards you with this remote, which looks a fairly, well, it looks a standard size remote, let me know when this really, you're aware of its presence, when it really, really physically changes size, really gets significantly bigger. Much bigger. Right, we're getting to there before you recognise that I'm the presence of this by me approaching you, right? But you want me to be aware of it as soon as I can. So what did we say about riding in the middle of the road to the middle of junctions? So we might be tucked in towards an ear side, we make a change of a movement towards somewhere on the road. We actually move, yeah? Let me know when you're aware of the presence of this. Now, without me changing size, your eye immediately goes, one of those objects that didn't change size then moved, so it draws their eyes' attention, their brain's attention to you, similar to waking up a mouse key on a computer screen. By just moving it, the eye will pick up much better and much earlier than it does if you just wait until the size tells them that you're there, yeah? That's what the looming effect is about, and that is a failing of the way the human brain interacts with the eye that makes it dangerous for us as bikers and powered, and cyclists, because they don't know you're there, they're not expecting you, and nothing changes until it's too late for you to hit the brakes, or it's all getting too late. Yeah. Okay. Pick up the what's over again. Now this one's an even better one. I'll just play this one, but this one, really highlights, it's got no gory stuff on it. Well, it's got one or two. Wakes you up in it. It's basically, this one explains how your eye works and why people don't see you. The video explains it better than we can.
Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. Those words are often heard after a driver has pulled out in front of another road user. In most cases, the driver will have looked, but was fooled into thinking the road was clear because of the way our eyes and brains see things when we turn our heads. As we move our heads from side to side, our eyes send snapshots to our brain at intervals, in much the same way as a video camera records frames. Our brain then merges the snapshots, called fixations, into what we think is a continuous sweep. But that is an illusion. Between the fixations, there are blind spots, called saccades. If another road user happens to fall within one of these blind spots, they will not be seen. This is known as saccadic masking. The faster we move our heads, the shorter the fixations and the longer the saccades will be. So the risk of not seeing another road user increases, especially if they're a cyclist, motorcyclist or pedestrian. To overcome this, drivers need to adopt a different approach when checking if the road is clear. Instead of continuous head movement, a driver should pause for a fraction of a second to focus on at least 3 points when looking to the left and right to check close, middle and long distance. With practice, this can be achieved quickly and will overcome the normal limitations of the eyes and brain. It's also advisable to look to the left and right at least twice. If everyone put this simple advice into practice, up to a quarter of all road accidents could be avoided. This would be a major boost for road safety.
So someone says, are you blind? Yeah. The correct answer is yeah. Sometimes when I'm sweeping. And the only reason it does that is so you don't get dizzy. Remember the old, some are old enough in this room to remember the old high 8 camcorders, aren't they? Right? And when you used to sweep from one side to the other, you get a clear picture there, go across, and then the camera go and focus, and then it'd eventually get there, wouldn't it? Yeah. But if you watch it, you go, whoa, what? The way your eye works is designed to stop you feeling dizzy by doing that. And in those gaps when it's off, your eye makes up what it thinks must be in the gap because it got that picture there, that picture there, gap. And it says, yeah, well, in the middle, it's got to be that, hasn't it? It's got to be. Yeah. If you're in that gap, he can look at it and he won't see you.
Why isn't that taught on the driving test?
Because nobody's asked me yet. I don't know.
Obviously a known thing.
Yeah, well, clearly it is, because that's not our video. That's done from a sort of government department. But when people realise what the failings of people are, and they go, oh, yeah, he looked at me. Yeah, he probably did, yeah. But you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can change this. You can change the size of the on-off bits by changing position, by changing speed, and that will change the length of these seeing and not being seen things, providing you foresee the danger coming and you do something proactive to combat the problem that he's got and the problem you've got as well when you're driving the car. And I relate to your story loads of times with bike safe. I damn near did that myself. I don't know if anyone knows that there's a pub called the Neville Arms up in Ashford Bank, and there's basically a junk. I'm coming up the main road, and one main road, and I'm coming up to a T-junction which is on a bend to join another road. So I'm joining on an angle, right? But there's a point at which this road goes off and goes back towards Ashford Bank, and there's a little grass triangle in the middle. I punched it then, didn't I? Caught it with my hand, right? And as I'm coming up, and the car in front of me turns off, and he's going back towards Ashford Bank, and I'm going past, and I'm going at 50 miles an hour-ish, something like that. And I look, and I think, right, okay. I look back past the car that's going that way, and I look up, and I see the car there, and I think, yeah, I can easily get out before him, and there's nothing here. So I plant my foot, and I'm going, well, as I'm coming back to go forwards like that, my wife, who's fortunately in the passenger seat, screamed out no, which she doesn't do very often, to be fair. Well, she does occasionally, but not very often. She screamed out no. I came to a standstill. And as I came to a standstill and went, what? A cyclist went straight in front of me. He was on the main road. He'd been there when I looked that way, and he'd been there when I looked that way. He had to be, because there's nowhere else he could have come from, and he couldn't be going any faster. Granted, he didn't help himself because he was dressed in black, but he was there to be seen. I didn't see him. And if she hadn't shouted no, I'd have put him in the pub. I'd have killed him. I would have killed him. And I said, of course, you go, yeah, I saw him. Of course I did. I'm thinking, I didn't. I genuinely didn't see him. Right? And that really worried me, because we teach that, and I got caught out by it, and I go, wow, I've just done what they said you could do. Yeah? So you can make a mistake. Just be aware that that mistake can be made. And when you do it, it's a proper sit back and go, whoa, that was close. Yeah? I could have potentially gone to prison for that. If I'd hit someone at that speed, and killed him, and he was there, clear as day. Absolutely, it wasn't even night time, clear as day. So it can and it does happen. So just be aware it does happen. Right then, highway code, how the highway code's changed. We've got this hierarchy of road users now. Look at this, you're below horses. How does that work? Yeah, that's where they got you in the pecking order. The only thing more lowly than you is the pedestrian, and they are a nightmare. They were a nightmare when we used to police, when we used to do Royal Escorts and things. The pedestrians were just, they're lemmings. They're absolute. They might do the most ridiculous things. Yeah, we'd be escorting a convoy, right? And you've got a convoy of like 4 or 5 vehicles, more than that for someone like Trump. He's got paramedics and Chinooks and all sorts behind it. Anyway, you come down the main road, and we're escorting it, and everything's got to be covered. And we stop at the pedestrian crossing with the Pelican Run with the lights on, and you stop in the middle of the thing, and people are waiting. Then you say, "Can you just wait there?" And they go, "Oh yeah, no problem, officer. Who's coming?" "Oh, the Queen or whatever, or the King, or is his name." And they go, "Oh right," and they're all standing there waiting to come down the road. And you've got the police bike across the front of them, right in front of them, and then they say, "Someone's pressed the button." In the meantime, as soon as it goes beep beep beep, they all go off and walk around your bike. Literally, and you have to grab them and put them back. Get back in the bike. Don't you touch me! I'll make a complaint. You're going to get flattened. There's about 5 vehicles coming down here, with escorts of bikers. They just go. Whoa. So make no mistake, they will go out in front of you. Absolutely, they're a nightmare. So, the hierarchy of road users. What does that mean then? Well, they did this to help people behave and be nice to each other, the ones that can hurt each other most, right? So, that's basically there's 3 parts to it. So, Rule H1. Basically, it says that those in charge of vehicles cause the greatest harm, the biggest ones, bear the greatest responsibility to take care of other people. That's basically all it's saying. And it applies most strongly to drivers of large goods vehicles. No, hey, wow. Yeah, 38 tonnes. Oh, you can't go there. I think you'll finally go where it wants. Yeah? Right, so that's Rule H1. It basically says that everyone needs to look after people more vulnerable underneath them. But it also highlights the responsibility of cyclists and horse riders to be conscious of accommodating pedestrians. So you've got to look after pedestrians. Even though you're near the bottom, you've got someone you need to look after as well. The absolute lemmings, right, who don't see you, won't hear you, think they can get across, don't appreciate how fast you're going. Yeah? So you've got a responsibility. And none of this absolves anyone from any responsibility of looking after themselves and applying a bit of common sense. Right? Oh, you'll look after me. Yeah, but I thought when you rode across that level crossing, the lights were down, mate. That was a bit over the top. You've got to look after yourself to a degree. You can't just rely on the law to protect you. Rule H2. It affects how we should all be towards people as pedestrians. Rules aimed at drivers, motorbike riders, horse riders, and at junctions, you should give way to pedestrian crossings. This is one that people get upset about as well. At a junction, you should give way to pedestrian crossing or waiting to cross a road into which you're turning or emerging from. So if someone's on the corner and they look like they're going to cross, you should give way to them. Yeah, you should let them cross, if it's safe to do so. Not if you can't slow the Arctic down behind you and there's a pedestrian waiting, the pedestrian's got to look after himself to a degree. Yeah? He can't just go, no, I'm entitled to walk and step out in front of you now, can he? Yeah? Equally so, nothing's changed. Did you ever see someone stand on the side of a curb and think, fair game, I'll get a pedestrian there, bosh, yeah, as you go around the curb? You don't do that. No one's ever done that. You look, sensible people look at it and go, there's a potential someone's going to cross, so you know what, I'll back off. If I give them, I'll give them a bit of space. Or at least I'll allow for the possibility they might cross. Yeah? Now it's saying to people, you have a responsibility set out not in law, but in the advice given by the Highway Code, that if you're not respectful to other people, if you're not careful of cyclists and people more vulnerable to you, and you fetch them off inadvertently, and it doesn't even amount to careless driving, we can still get a case home in you in court, because the advice given the Highway Code is, look after other people, yeah? That's all it's saying, yeah? You should also let a pedestrian cross in front of you if they're in slow-moving traffic. So you can't just mow them down, basically, is what they're saying. And the scary thing is, they had to write this down for somebody, didn't they? Yeah, that's really worrying. These are the people that we're going out with, doing battle with on the roads. They had to write stuff down and say, come on, let the pedestrian cross, don't just flatten him. Okay. And rule 3, you like this one, you shouldn't cut across cyclists, horse riders, horse-drawn vehicles who are emerging from junctions. So if they're approaching a junction and you're waiting to emerge, or you're going to turn into a junction, what they shouldn't do is overtake you. If you're going straight across, they shouldn't overtake you and cut across your bows, basically drive badly. So they're basically saying, when the cyclist's in front of you, because they're more vulnerable, just try and predict what they're going to do and give them a bit of space, yeah? As opposed to, well, I've got right away and he shouldn't. No. Look after him. No matter who's right or wrong, yeah? There's no point in being dead right, or one of you being dead right. Look after him. Don't be an idiot. Think about what the people are going to do. Try and predict, like the advanced riding we talked about earlier, try and predict what's going on. And if someone's made a mistake, no one makes a mistake they deserve to die for, right? Just back off, give them a bit of space. But now they're saying, if you don't, then this will help them prosecute you or get a civil case home. So think about it a bit more deeply than you used to before. But nothing's changed. So go on then, how far should a car driver give you when he's going past? At all times? At all times? No, 2 metres is for horse, isn't it? And I say there's no way I'm bringing my gap down to 2 metres for horse. Is it over 50 mile an hour? You've all got to know this, because when some idiot fetches you off, you need to know what the crack is, so you can say, actually, and you know how to bend the rules as well, yeah? 1.5 metres up to 30, and significantly more as the speeds get higher, yeah? Now, again, nobody's going to say, I mean, blokes are notoriously bad at judging size, aren't they? Come on, we know we are, right? And see where your husband gets on one day, yeah? Right. The abuse this guy must take. I'm going to tell him, you said when I get home. Oh, no, don't name me, right? Say Michael told you. Right. Right. Is that 1.5 metres? I don't know, right? All he's saying is give someone a visual picture, say, look, give them a bit of space. If it's 1.2 metres, they ain't going to do the car driver. If it's 6 inches, they're going to do the car driver. It's really obvious, isn't it? Yeah? But it's just saying to people, let's just imagine, or that you want them to sit behind you and go, I don't know, is that 1.5 metres? I've got a police car behind me, and everyone else has got a dash cam. Is this going to look, as I go past, or is it going to look like it's close up to 1.5 metres? But at least they'll be thinking about 1.5 metres. They'll be thinking about a distance, some distance. You said he's going, and making you rattle all over the road. I've been there when people have gone past in the wind blast. You're going, what are you playing at? He's saying, stay away from them. Because everyone on the planet's got a dash cam now. If they see it, by the way, if this does happen to any of you, and you've got a head cam or dash cam footage, you know now you can upload it to the police websites, don't you? You don't even have to get into a confrontation with Mr. Angry from Solihull, do you? Yeah? You just go, boom, send it up there, right? And I know this, we work with the sergeant that does it, and I promise you, he takes action. He will absolutely take action. They won't do it on speed and stuff like that, but if it's a blatant, really seriously, mate, sort of offence or crossing solid white lines or whatever, if it's a real clear one, they just go, yeah, fine, shh. I'm not even going to argue, go and argue it at court, yeah? So, but you need to know what rules they're playing to, and also be fair to people. If it's 1 metre, it's 1.5, and they've done as much as they can, they wait as long as they can. You know, I mean, you must do the same as I do now, where I sit behind cyclists, and to be fair, I've always done it because of what we do, but you can see people sitting behind there thinking, I don't know if I can get round. Can I get round before that corner? Because if something comes in, I have to squeeze him, I could be in trouble. They didn't used to think about that before. Now it's been set down in stone and said, you watch what you're doing with cyclists and vulnerable people. You stay away from them, otherwise you'll get done. People are starting to go, oh, it's not fair. Yes, it is. Your licence is a privilege, not a right. Behave yourself and look after more vulnerable people. That's all they're saying. They can think about it. 1.5 up to 30-ish. Above that, more. Yeah? Know where we are. Okay, so Do any of you go riding at night? I've got massive headlights on my bike, and I hate going out at night. I hate it. You can't see the road surfaces, you know. No. Okay, so some of the rules at night, must or shoulds, because you should all know it's because you're cycling. Right. Remember, must is legal, you have to. Should is general advice. Do you have to have white front and red lights fitted and lit at night? Do you have to? Yes. That is a must. Okay. Does your bike have to be fitted with a rear reflector? Yes. Should. Good, isn't they? Must. Law. Oh! I'm going to phone the sergeant. You're all nicked now. There's at least half of them are going, nah. Only if your bike's manufactured after the 1st of 10th 85. No, I don't believe anybody in this room's got a bike that was manufactured before 85. Hey? I was born just after that. No, I wasn't really. So what? Okay, so after the 1st of 10th 85, you've got to have amber reflectors on your pedals. Okay?
I thought you had to
that is law.
When you bought the bike, they had to have amber, but I didn't think you had to have them. I'm saying this is what
I've looked it up today.
Yeah.
I'm that sad. I looked it up today. Don't I? That's what it says. Yeah? So if they get to court and they want to argue it, but that's what it actually says, right? Okay. Cycle tracks. There's some of these through the parks, aren't there? Yeah?
What if you've got pedestrians on your side? What?
You've got to give way to them. The pedestrians are below you in the table.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're essentially riding on the pavement, right? And I've got that off the government website there as well, so if anyone wants to have a look at gov.uk and argue the toss, feel free, because I know that's right, because I went, what? Really? I said exactly what you did. A cyclist always in my lane. So you should have a bell fitted. Oh, that's going to be a long way to yeah. Do that in Birmingham, they'll stab you. What's going on? Right? But you should keep to your own side if there's a segregation, because the other side is technically a pavement. Well, not technically, it is a pavement. Yeah, and you're allowed to use half of it. Quite rightly so as well. Yeah? Okay. Cycle lanes, not compulsory to use, but could make your journey safer. The amount of people that have said to us, cyclists don't have to use cycle lanes anymore. They never did have to. They're there if you want to use them. Difference is everybody else can't use them. Just make sure that it is one that you can use. Yeah.
Came through Stratford today and they've got cycle lanes either side, going up towards Ulster.
Yeah, that's right.
And I counted, deliberately because of tonight, I counted 15 cars on one side of the road in the cycling.
Yeah, that's out of order. Well, they're not allowed to park in there. And if there was any police force left to prosecute them, they get prosecuted. Right? However, there's not, because all the best was left. Okay? Bus lanes, feel free to use them if they've got the cycle thing on. However, we say to motorcyclists, do you want to ride in a bus lane? Really? What's the surface like in a bus lane? Ain't the best, is it? But if it gets you out of the flow of traffic and you're careful with it, you're perfectly entitled to. So yeah, get out of the way of traffic. No one else should use it unless they're allowed to. So it should be a safer zone. The sooner they put in separate paths, proper paths in, and routes like other countries do, the better. But yeah, you're perfectly entitled to use bus lanes. Some of them are timed, remember. Know what a toucan crossing is? Anyone know what a toucan crossing is? Correct. So you will get those sort of controls, because on a normal crossing, you should push your bike across a normal crossing. On a toucan crossing, you're entitled to ride across it. That's what the idea of a toucan crossing is for both of us. There's enough space for you to ride across there, yeah, and ride through, and you're perfectly entitled to that. Any other crossing, you should get off and walk like everybody else, yeah, but only with toucan crossings, yeah. Anyone know where the Pegasus crossing is? I'm not taking the mick. So, I'm not that brave. There's too many people in here. Pardon? It's a horse one, horse crossing. You'll see near the New Forest in place like that. Do you know what the difference is? Apart from the surface, it might be a little bit more dodgy. Right? These controls have horses on, and they're also 6 foot up the pole. At least, so I can't reach them, being a short ass. Right? So they can operate the controls on horseback. There you go. The winter nights fly by in my age, you know. Do you know what one of those is? Who's allowed to use those? Well, it does. On motorbikes. Can't we share? Why? Oh, there's no engine painted there, isn't there? That's right. It's yours and yours alone. The advice even given, like I said about the Arctics earlier on, the advice even given to Arctic drivers, because you're perfectly entitled, it's designed to give you a head start. Get across the junction, quite rightly so. Why wouldn't you want people to do that? It's got the inside and go into this zone here to, you know, if you turn right and to get ahead and go through, right? The advice is even given to lorry drivers in the highway code as well, that they sit back from that stop line. So if you are sat in front of them, they can see you down there. Because if they get right at the stop line, with the best will in the world, that guy ain't going to see you. If he sat there and you come round tight to him and you go in front of him, he cannot see you. Even with that mirror that's looking down, sometimes they can't, I promise you they can't see you. I know because I've been there. So don't get tight to that line. Sit in the zone, by all means sit in the zone. And please try to stop for red lights as well. I'm winding you up, I know you stop for red lights. But just try and sit away from them, particularly if you've come down after they've been parked, make sure that you can be seen. Do you know what it says about going around roundabouts for you guys as well? If you're turning right, where should you turn, where can you turn right from? What can you do? Which is unusual for most of the motorists, road users. You can stay in the left-hand lane, yeah. Yeah. It says you can stay, you can have left or right, you can have either one. You're perfectly entitled to take the right one if you're brave enough and fast enough. I wouldn't be. Probably surprise you, though, wouldn't it? But no, I'll probably fast enough. But you can go to the left. All it says, if you do go around to the left, 2 things. Firstly, be aware that half the numpties, other road users won't know that won't expect you to do that. And secondly, make sure you signal when you do it. Yeah? Just give them a clear signal, right? And make sure it's a clear signal that if someone fetches you off, every other motorist goes, oh, come on. How obvious could the cyclist make it that he was turning, as opposed to, I think I saw his arm come out a little, but everyone should be going, no, mate. He was, yeah, I could tell from Blackpool he was turning right or she was turning right, yeah. It should have been clearly obvious to everybody that they were doing that, but you are perfectly entitled to go all the way around the roundabout in the left-hand lane, and everyone else should be making allowances for that, because you're not going to be as fast across, and you are more vulnerable, and they need to look after you, and they need to be aware that that's what you're going to do. Sadly, a lot of them don't read it, they don't care, or they're not concentrating. The only people concentrating on a road at any given time will be people that are going to get hurt and advanced motorists. No one else cares. They just go in from A to B, and they just accept the fact every now and then they're going to have an accident. That's just the way life is. That's why you have insurance. Not the case. There's loads of reasons that we can look into as why people don't see us, what we can do to avoid those situations, and how to help other people see us and be nice to each other. And that's all the basic rewriting of the highway code was about in relation to us and cyclists and vulnerable road users and the hierarchy of other road users. That's what it's about. Yeah? So that's what they're saying there. So if you happen to come down the inside there and there, they say to lorry drivers, just hold back a little bit, will you? Yeah?